myself and Tim and Miriam. Hello, Miriam. Good to have you here. Welcome, Tolgay. Hello, Tolgay. Music's too loud. Let me take down that music a little bit. It's just my fun intro music and was a little hot. I'm actually not listening to I'm listening kind of to the input, not necessarily the output. So, all right. Good. Samu, this is for you. Yeah, because that's what we want to do, is we want to kind of tackle sort of creating graphics and bringing them, working with Illustrator and Photoshop. And that's what we're going to be doing. But before we get started, actually, I want to give you guys a quick preview on what's going on this week, which makes this pretty appropriate. What's up, Joshua? Mathematics. Marnouche? There we go. Hello from South Africa. Did I turn down the music too much? Because right now I'm not hearing anything. Super chill. All right, let's get this party started. Tarek, to answer your question, Adobe XD allows you to design and prototype. In fact, you can see design and prototype, mobile, any sort of experience. So you can go to Adobe XD. You could really just do a search on it is all I was going to do and learn all about it. But there is this link right here. It's going to link you directly to the product page. The big thing is like how to get your assets into Adobe XD to prototype and do all that fun stuff. Okay, so that's what we'll work on. And I can also show you what Adobe XD can do when it comes to creating graphics. So if you're a Creative Cloud member, you can download it. That'd be great. Anyways, moving right along. Greetings from Tunisia. Awesome, Joseph. Good to have you here. And I turned down the music. Is it still a little loud? Let's turn down a little more. Serbia's in the house. You got it. I've lowered the music. That was a little bit of Andrew, actually a lot of Andrew Apple Pie. So it should be really pretty quiet right now. Bangladesh in the house. Okay, cool. Well, you got it. Tell me how the music sounds now. Hopefully that's all right. Mathematics, Tim, let me know if the music's okay now. I honestly don't even hear it anymore. Take it down a little bit more. All right, it's even lower now. Hopefully, again, I don't want it to be distracting. Okay. There we go. That should be fine. Clubs. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Can you hear me okay? Okay, so just let me know if you guys can hear me. It should still be getting my audio. Cool. All right. Malawi in the house. All right, so it's okay if the music's barely hearable. That's all right. I barely hear it as well. We're doing okay, though. So we'll just get this started. Because, again, we can do that. So is it possible to create interactions like one-click or on-click, on-focus, stuff like that? I can kind of show you how to do that, or at least give you sort of a way to tackle that, even though I might not do it per se. Yeah, so well, I can easily do that. Okay, cool. Sound volume is low. Let's take this up a notch. Apologize. Bringing this up some more. And full volume here as well. So let's get this started because I want to kind of tackle what we're having this week, what's going on. And essentially, let me turn this up a little bit more. There we are. Okay, cool. Let's get started. So just so you know what we have going on is on behance.net/live. You can see it right up here. I'm just looking at the schedule. But tomorrow and Wednesday as well as Thursday, we have an Adobe just a UX and UI stream with some fantastic players. So we have Mark Risen from 9 to 11. Then we have good old Zach London from, it should be from 11 to 1, and then 1 to 3, we have Tim Hikes, and then we have Catherine Wang up as well. So join me for 3 days on behance.net/live to sort of see this all in action. Okay, so that's the plan. I'm going to kind of get started on this now. So, cool. Let's do this. So, an easy place to start, Anissa, good to see you, by the way. I just saw your name. Awesome. Is you can go to File, New, and I'm just going to point out some resources to you because there are templates. So I'm literally like pulling from, underneath Mobile, zoop. I have this circle material icon, but if you select mobile, you can have access to a lot of various assets, as you can see right in here. There's even this app icon kit. There's this UI icon set, but chances are, since you are an Illustrator, you might be making something as well, so from scratch. So here I've just technically licensed it, but really it was free, so I can open it now. So you have access to these various graphics that I can use. So I can manipulate these all I want. In fact, I'm noticing they're really boring in terms of their... Let's do a cheat. There we go. Cool, that swatch is in there. All right, so let's do I've downloaded basically a template. I'm customizing in Illustrator. That's where I'm starting, and then I'll jump into Photoshop. But from here, I basically want to select the same fill color. And again, I'm just customizing this because that's what I'd want to do is download a template, customize like so. And once I have that done, there's a couple different things I can do. So I'm showing you how to get assets into XD. So I can take a number of these graphics. I'm actually liking these two right up here. Okay, so I can take these, I can copy them. Command-C, going into XD once I have it launched. So Gabby, we're learning how to bring in assets. So Felicia, oh, good to have you here. I'm going to show you some things, some little like tips and tricks too, because I could bring assets directly in thanks to Adobe XD, just like paste them in, and it's not going to be a big deal, right? Starting with a new file in Adobe XD, waiting for it to open. There it is. Pasting it in. There are my graphics, right? Really straightforward, okay? So let's ungroup these. Right, and I can see that they have the gradient and all that fun stuff. And I can manipulate this gradient, right? So as I select this fill, I can change this gradient, of course. So I can manipulate this all I want by adding maybe another color stop and making it darker, things like that, okay? So the gradients come in, but I'm going to go beyond that because I'm thinking, it would be really cool for all of these if I select the same fill color. And actually what I want to do is I want to change this from linear. Let me move this over to radial, for instance. So now it's actually coming from the inside out, and I'll just sort of make this a little bit more drastic so you can kind of see what's happening. So hopefully you're capturing a vision for what's happening. You can see that little, see how it has it's a radial gradient? That's what I'm pointing out at this point, just a little bit of a radial gradient that I might want to go with at this point, okay? With that done, I'm just going to save this as a new swatch. All right, and now for these two graphics, I can copy them, bring them into XD. The reason I did this is to point out that yes, linear gradients will come through, right? So when you select gradient, this is a linear gradient. But actually what I want to do is I want to bring in a radial gradient. And I just want to point out that XD respects the radial gradient. Okay, even though it can't do radial gradients, it will actually like respect it accordingly. So you can see how I can easily change that. I'm going to do one more thing. In fact, let's just see what happens if I add it here. This is going to be so curious, because what I start using as I start building this out is I start to, maybe taking a fill color and then add it as an asset off to the side. So I'm clicking over here, colors. There it is. There's my color gradient. I'm going to try this one real fast because honestly, I don't know what's going to happen if it's going to be able to bring it in. No, it's not. That's okay. But anyways, I did that all to say that basically you can bring in radial gradients from Illustrator. It will respect them anywhere where you even have an SVG that has gradients or even has text or has photos. You can bring those all in, okay? But this is typically what I do is, let me ungroup these. Those are already ungrouped. Let's ungroup these some more. And I'm going to use this same fill color. All right, so I'm using the same fill color that's in my assets panel. And the reason I use these fill colors as I add them to all of these elements is because I could always change it. So at this point, I can right click and I can say edit. Here are my colors up here, and as I change them, it's going to change it everywhere. So as I add, say, more blue or teal, you can see that it's going to add it everywhere. So what happens is if you put any color in your assets panel, it's going to be a global color that's linked everywhere. So you could easily change this from something to something else as I start to do that right now. Like that, okay? An entire change of the whole app is what I'd want to do. Let's go on from there. Say Photoshop. Let's open up Photoshop. Yes, this is all going to be kind of like food related. I could use Creative Cloud libraries if I want to. So if I open this up, I can select my sort of food section. You can see some of these images right here. You can see what I did here. That's kind of, boy, that does not look appetizing at all. What about this? This looks much better, okay? So this is pretty good. I can make whatever I want to in Photoshop like I'm doing right now. Let's add a color splash because I maybe want this to look similar to the photos and graphics that I was using a second ago. Maybe I want a color splash like this. Okay, so this looks pretty cool. I could put anything I want into my library panel. There it is. Okay, this is going to be my background. There's a couple different things I can do because what I can also do is I could use my Creative Cloud library, or what I could do is I could just do an edit, copy merged. Okay, so I could just do a copy and then come in here. Let's zoom out. Let's draw a box. And then let's do an edit, paste. There we go. So it didn't put it in my box like I wanted to. I thought it was going to since I had it selected. But I could just do a copy and paste from other apps. Even if you're on the web and you need assets of maybe like profile pictures, you can just use just a simple copy paste and bring it in. But I'm going to go beyond this because this looks pretty good, but maybe I want to have some further updates to this. So I'm going to send this to back as I work on this. Yes, Indian cuisine. Don't you love this? Love these colors? But what if this is a little too much, right? What if this is too much? Maybe I want to continually like have edits for this graphic, right? Well, there's another way we can work on these graphics. I'm actually going to delete this because remember, if I open up my CC libraries panel, my Creative Cloud libraries panel, right in here, I can change this to food, which is what I've been working on. Oh, guess what? Remember how you saved that? It's syncing right now. As I drink some coffee. Good morning, Kenya. Thank you, Felicia. It's pretty. I love it. Good to hear. So yeah. Oh, is the cat song on? Oh, man. There is a cat song that I think we took off the list, but anyways, we're waiting for this to sync. It's taking some time. Let's move beyond that. Let's just take, say, for instance, you know, one of these other images. Let's just grab this one right here, dropping this in of shrimp as my Creative Cloud library syncs. I'll move that off. Let's zoom out. Man, that's some big shrimp. But when you bring graphics in from Photoshop, you're going to get this right here. See that? You have this little link icon is what's happening. So so yeah, so you have this little link. So basically this is being linked to the CC library asset right over here, right? So just keep in mind those are linked. I'm going to send this to the back. I can start to work on this interface. It can use a lot more work. And I'm like, yeah, I like this, but this photo doesn't have the cool color casting that I was working on a second ago. Well, what is coming is a right click and edit. That is coming to Adobe XD. Let's go beyond that. Back in good old Photoshop, if I open up that graphic of the shrimp, which is right down here, I can open up this graphic. And let's just create a duplicate of this. All right. But now I can add, say, for instance, a color cast or make whatever change that I want in here. What I'm doing is I'm cycling through the different color modes. I don't know if you're familiar with doing this, of course, in Photoshop, just cycling through all of them. You could do, hold on, this is just Shift plus and minus if you're on a Mac, but you got to also do a Command Shift O or M. I apologize. Option Shift M for multiply, O for overlay is what it should be. And it will actually switch to that layer mode because I end up using overlay a lot. So I typically want to jump right to this one. But again, it's associated with different hot shortcut keys. And even this one's nice. Linear dodge, otherwise known as add. Flattening this. Because I don't think if I save it, it's going to be like, hey, you need to save it as a JPEG, fool. Flatten image. So we'll give this image a second, but it will update to that new look here in a second. Wow, why is it taking so long? Oh, it's having a problem. It's trying to upload this food image, and it's having a hard time. Okay. Let's go beyond this, because let's say, for instance, I'm going to make an icon, and let's say, for instance, I'm going to use something in here, and what I need, I may basically need something kind of a vector. So from here, I'm just going to select, say, for instance, this is going to be really simple. This triangle. Okay, so here's a triangle because this is going to be part of the design. This happens to be a vector element in Photoshop, right? It's called shape 1. I can right click and see right here you can copy SVG from Photoshop. So copy SVG, go in here again. Oh, it's about time that updated. Go in here to your project and then paste. And there's your SVG pasted in. So you can copy and paste both vector and raster images in from Photoshop into Adobe XD. Okay. Typically, we know when we're doing assets, if we are working on assets, even in Illustrator, this is probably where we're going to make most of our vector assets, and that is exactly right. So I could do that, and this is typically where my logo will come from, right? So here's a case where I have this image, caveman cookies, and I have other elements too, because again, part of this might include this illustration. This could even have text. I wish I could remember the name of this font that we ended up using, but let's just pick, say for instance, Alpha Slab 1. And let's make sure we make it white. And let's make sure we fit all of the artwork on the, all of the artwork fits on this artboard. So actually it is right down there, and it just happens to be a lighter color. But let's go ahead and pick that. There we go. All I did is I dropped in a font. I'm going to select everything. I'm going to copy it. Going into Adobe XD. Notice how everything is on layers. I should probably start to name some of these layers, but I could paste that in, and sure enough, everything comes in, including the words. So let's just change this to a brown. Let's drop down this opacity so we can see. Let's lock this background so I don't accidentally move it. And come in here, and sure enough, I can select this text and add a couple more exclamation points. I'm noticing this is a signature color. I can add that back to my assets panel. Boom, there it is. Now I have that color right here. Same thing for, you know, this brown. I can add this brown in, right? So that might be the new color theme for these colors. So what I can do is I can right click. I want to copy that number, and then I should be able to paste it in right here. Yeah. Anyways, just changing all of these various colors to match my theme. Caveman cookies. These are actually not cookies, we're realizing. I should probably actually grab some cookies in here. It's fine. But really the key point is to point out that you can actually bring in assets from Illustrator and Photoshop into Adobe XD. If there was an image associated with this logo, that image would come in as well. Switching. Sorry, I'm going to look at chat here in a second. I'm just going to add a better background because everybody's like, why do you have Indian food, you know, in this design when you started talking about cookies now? I'm so confused. I agree. That's why I'm changing this up a little. Joop, joop. Click on it. Make sure that's down there. That's kind of more along the lines of maybe what I want. Let's add a drop shadow to this. And bring up that opacity. All right, this design sucks. Ugh, Samu. Oh, I love it. You're like, this design sucks. You are a funny man, right? You are funny, okay? So anyways, let's continue to work on this because, again, I did just start. Sorry, I'm not just awesome out of the gate. But I'd start to add to this. Like, these buttons really need to be saved for another time. I don't want to use these right now. Okay, so usually anything I bring in, say from Illustrator, I can add as symbols. Bop, right off to the side, just like that. I can start to add all of these symbols because I know I'm going to use them all over the place. Let's zoom in on them. This Samu, you're funny. You're like, this design sucks. Oh, good times. All right, there we go. All right, so what we could do. So what we have next is, if you say, for instance, this isn't working as a design. I'm just starting to prototype, right? What if I want to maybe use some things that are already pre-built? Just like I did in Illustrator, there are assets in Illustrator that I can copy and paste in. I can also go to File, Get UI Kits, and use a number of these: Apple iOS, Google Material, Microsoft Windows. And I'm going to select wireframes because, again, if you do decide that you do suck at designs, you could download this kit, right? And this one is just going to be a wireframe, so it's all going to be blue, right? And we can see it right in here. This is what I just downloaded, right? And I might want to use some of these elements for my app, right? These are just the basics. Hey, you want some rulers? Yeah, so rulers are an interesting topic, by the way. You know, I personally think we should have rulers. So again, right in here, I can start to use some of these elements. Say, for instance, I want to use this graphic. I can copy, paste right in here, and make sure that background color is going to be that same color, and add that to my symbol library. Now I can use that whenever I'm ready to use it. Okay, we're starting to just put this together pretty simply. To answer your question, geez, I lost track. I was just about to answer a question. Rulers in XD, that's right. Okay, so I am working on this design. I'm noticing it is needing rulers, right? Potentially, all right? Well, if I select this artboard right over here, I can turn on layout. And from here, this gives me sort of layout options. So yes, there are grid options as I change this to square. You can see these, obviously all these grid lines that I could easily change up to say 20, for instance. You get the idea. Or I can change this to layout. So this layout feature is new. This might help you. I know it's not rulers, but it might be a step in the right direction. So now that I have these rulers, whether it's, you know, you're doing some bootstrap, whatever the case may be, I can take this down to 2 columns, take this up to 6 columns, right? And I can even grab the edge here, and the layout grid will change. It is flexible, but it's not going to change your design. So your design is still going to be fixed, but you can see how flexible my columns are as I start to drag this out and make it larger. Right? So you do have that layout grid. Encourage you to use it. It's the best I can do for you. And yeah, I could use rulers and guides. Thank you, Anissa. And that's a good, Anissa, thank you for pointing that out, because you can go to help, and right down here, you can of course see what's new, but you can also provide feedback. And that's also the purpose of this, is to provide feedback. Here we go. You know, we're actively developing this kind of based on feedback from the community, and I bet you anything, if I go under feature requests, rulers might be one of the top ones in here. So a lot of fixed objects between transitions, text formatting, label assets. I'm sure convert to code. I'm sure rulers is in here somewhere. But again, a lot going on right in here for requests. But what you're going to see if you guys join us this week on behance.net/live, we're actually going to have some fun things happening, because we're actually going to talk about some new features, such as, like, you know, editing, you know, Creative Cloud library items from XD. We're just going to talk about a lot of things that are coming. That's what's going to happen this week. Okay, so just join us for that live stream and you'll see some of the new stuff. I'm not really, you know, it's not my place to really, you know, say what we can have or not have. Okay, right here, dropping in this. A lot of times when you make graphics, by the way, and you're making these buttons, look at how small this button is. It's like 45 by... Oh, excuse me. Width is, it's basically 40, it's not even 40 pixels yet. It's like half that. So I'm not going to be able to click on that, right? But I can always edit this this symbol just by double clicking on it. And what you can do is just add like an invisible box behind it. So right here in the center, click holding down the Alt key, the Shift key, making that 40 pixels by 40 pixels. Right, sort of more of a standard size, and then getting rid of the border and all that fun stuff. Just like that. And then what you do is you just drop the opacity down to 0. Okay, so let's go back. Sure enough, oh, thank you so much. You are now much larger. Ooh, but I did not make it part of the symbol. Let's just double click on that again. Inside it, pasting it in. I just got to make sure it's within this green box, and that means it's part of the symbol. So green means that it's a symbol, but look at how much larger that is. It could fit right up there, and we're doing just fine. All right. Ooh, micro interactions are in beta. Ooh, awesome. Probably hear more about that this week. Thank you, Mathematics. That's good to see. So, Samu Ray, I will answer your question. That's a good one. How to bring in content into Photoshop. Let's go beyond this, because if you're talking about beta experiences, well, we also have, if I click right over here, this is brand new, since it seems like you guys are interested in like a lot of stuff that might be coming. But right up here, let me move this over and show you. This is also in beta, which is published design specs. So just a second ago, we actually saw on user voice was getting the CSS from these objects. So this might be a way you could do that someday. Oh, Pankaj, good to hear. If you can get rulers and guides into XD, it will be the only program you will ever need. Oh, fantastic. I agree, man. Seriously. Caveman. Let's just go cookies. I like hearing that. You know, I want to know too, man. Yeah, I'm all about rulers and guides. Seriously. You know. Okay, Tiny and Goldilocks, Hernandez. Just so you know, you can always rewind this stream and watch it from the beginning. From here, I can open up this link. Pops up in another window. But here it is. Just a couple of these screens, right? If there were interactions with these, I'd be able to see the interactions. So I might show you a more advanced app. But let's take a look at this, because this is, again, published design specs. Can you see that? Published design specs beta. That's what this gives you. In a browser window, you can see that it's going to give me all the colors for this logo or this text. I could select this text. I could see the type of text it is, the color, the positioning, all that good stuff, and even the content. Okay, so this is design specs. That's not even 1.0. This is in beta. But could you imagine someday just being able to extract the CSS from, from an asset this way? I'm not saying that's happening, but that could happen, because we used to have something similar like that back in the day. All right, so let's close that. Let's save this to my desktop. And try to open up some other app. This is another one that's like food-based. Just so you know. Just so we can see something that's more fully baked. Here it is. So again, just graphics that actually came from Illustrator in this case, right? So I can show you. Opening this up. I know you can't see it, but these are the graphics that actually are created in Illustrator. Pasted in, and then I added a little mask in there because I thought that would be fun. Other assets that I actually created in Adobe XD, and that's probably the one thing I didn't talk about, is creating graphics in XD. But it's all about bringing content into XD. To answer your question, as I scroll up a little bit, where's your name? Samurai. So you're not going to be able to bring in assets or content from XD into Photoshop. It's kind of more along the lines of exporting content from Photoshop and then bringing that into XD. And even another way of doing that, once you're dealing with assets, you can use your libraries panel. You can export out content using, say, for instance, oh, so sorry. I just went full screen with that. How do I get out of it? That was an extreme zoom. Extreme zoom. But you can also use the generate feature to export graphics. So here I am for this one right here. Here's my logo. I can just call this logo.png. Okay, you see that over here, right? And then I can go to File, File, Generate Image Assets. Okay, so I just got to be aware of this is. In fact, let's just save this as something else on my desktop. Okay, so I'm just saving it to my desktop. and then I can use this generate feature. That's bringing graphics in. If you want to go from XD into Photoshop, I just don't know why you'd want to do that, because you've already made the prototype. It's like Photoshop can't make prototypes, but you can export out all the graphics too. I can select everything, or I can even just do a select all artboards, or export out all artboards is what you can do. Okay, so okay, in case you have a different result based on the back end, then a button may have more than one path. So you're talking about multiple interactions per button, Gonzalo. You can't do that in Adobe XD. You would probably have to duplicate screens and make them look exactly the same, but in the second duplicated screen, that's where it would have a different interaction. So that's Samurai, you really don't like anything I do. You're like, the logo sucks. Sorry, I'm not able to help you out here. During the next 3 days, can you request some more advanced tips? Yeah, certainly. We can talk about advanced tips like all day long. Know that XD is only 1.0. So like you'll realize that, I mean, it could be more advanced if we want it to be. You know, it's like I can talk about the new stuff and maybe that's more advanced for you. But I can go from, say, for instance, point text to paragraph text. That might be a way you might be interested in, like, oh, I wanted this to be one sort of paragraph. Okay, there you have, or area text, and change this back to just being point text, which is everything on its own line. So maybe there's a pro tip for you just for fun. The client asks for SVG, PSD files, then I don't know what to tell you. Samurai, you'd basically have to export out everything and then put everything back into a PSD into their positions. So, yeah. So yeah, Samurai, if a client wants a Photoshop prototype, then use Photoshop and make prototypes that way. Cool. Yeah, you know what I would do with this? So this is a case where this is a tutorial. I could only use like Arial and Helvetica system fonts, so that's why I ended up with this font. I would actually go with a thin rounded font for this case, but again, I couldn't use different fonts because I was, you know, stuck with system fonts. So maybe that's why this design sucks. Ha ha! All right, and what else is coming? We can talk about some of the things that are coming is like, you know, these strokes for a circle. As I draw out this circle, and notice how this line, let's bump this up to 10, or 19 even. The line is actually on the inside of this circle. But one thing that's going to be coming is making it so the line is on the middle or the outside, okay? And again, that's why you'd use Illustrator, because in Illustrator's case, maybe we do want to have this set to a stroke of gold, right? This is the power of Illustrator, which is why I'm glad you guys are here now, because I can control whether it's on the inside, the outside, the middle, or the outside. Okay, so XD is going to be able to do that, but until then, you're going to have to do a copy and then do a paste, right? And you can see how it actually does maintain that stroke for the most part. All right, cool. Oh, Felicia, thank you. My hair looks good. I just threw a bunch of water on it, and it actually turned out okay. So just cheers to my stylist, which is pretty much just the next person available at the Floyd's barbershop. So that's how that works. All right, everybody, I've gone for 40 minutes. I'm gonna stop now. And again, I hope to see you soon. Actually, as soon as tomorrow, that'd be fantastic, because we will be live on Behance right here again with Mark and Zach and Tim and Catherine. So it's going to be really fun. Join me this week. We're going to talk about secret things that are right in my email that I can't show you yet. But we're going to kind of be sneaking some things this week for some new features coming. You know, again, I'm kind of excited about this. Edit graphics, zoom tool, and underline, stroke position, all this stuff. Just words. All right, everybody, have a wonderful day. Thank you, Joshua and Keith and Samurai. I'll have to talk about prototyping later. Again, this was just going from Photoshop and Illustrator into XD. And just to recap, the ways of doing that is do, of course, an import. That's easy enough. But more likely, a copy and paste. And then even when you're in Photoshop or Illustrator, you can use Creative Cloud libraries because you could bring all these graphics in, Creative Cloud libraries, directly into Adobe XD. Another thing you do in Photoshop is just do your right click and do a copy as SVG or, you know, any sort of copy that you want, but you can actually copy SVG from Photoshop as well. So have a wonderful day, everyone. Felicia, good seeing you. Anissa, Gonzalo, special thanks to Tim as always. Leanna McCoy, thank you so much, Cindy, and we will see you hopefully tomorrow, 9 a.m., guys. I'm going to be there. I get to host good old Mark Risen, so hope to see you there. Have a wonderful day. Be nice to everyone. Call your mom, and happy holidays to those who celebrate them. Thank you so much.